right. Hey, everybody. Smart Silver Stacker here. Welcome to a somewhat impromptu live stream, but I just thought I'd go ahead and hop on here because I was getting ready to go to bed and I looked at the silver chart and I noticed that it has been smashed down by over $1 since the close of trading today. Now, these COMEX futures markets, these run, I think, 23 hours a day. But typically this overnight trading, it's very thinly traded. It's Asian trading hours. And if we look at the daily chart here, you can see the magnitude of this smackdown that we're in the midst of right now as I speak. Down about 3.69% in the past couple hours. But if we hone down to the 1 hour chart, it really makes clear what's going on here. I mean, this is the 2100 hour, so, middle of overnight trading, and you've got this huge spike in volume, bigger than, most of the trading hours of the day. When you would expect most of the trading to be occurring, and you get these two giant candles down for the past hour. Silver has been getting absolutely shellacked. So look, I don't like to cry manipulation at every downward price move, but I mean, this is a bit much, right? Come on. We got JJ Watt in the chat here says JP Morgan is up late tonight smashing the price. I thought it was so funny that you put that into the chat because I had this story queued up here. If you want to know who's smashing down the price of silver in the middle of the night in thinly traded hours, well, I mean, yeah, that's your number one suspect there, right? JP Morgan. Over the past several years, some of their traders have been indicted for painting the tape, spoofing the gold market. They paid over $1 billion in fines cumulatively for their manipulation of the precious metals market. But I'm sure it's just a slap on the wrist compared to the amount of profits that they are able to pull out of this market. I mean, on that note, of course, the number one thing to do in my mind when things get manipulated like this, the paper price, they're playing their games with it in the middle of the night, smashing the price down. And the thing to do is to stack physical, right? Because you're getting physical metal at a discount because of what they're doing. And we know that the fundamentals basically just have no effect on price discovery. I mean, there is no more real price discovery in any of these markets, but none less so than the precious metals at this point. It's pretty much the same story in gold. Oh, by the way, I mean, look at this. Junk silver at SD Bullion, $20 and basically $20 for a face value, $1 face value junk silver. So, it's a low premium. It's a declining spot price to me. This is a buy the dip market, although this dip is getting pretty hairy here. Now, I mean, how low could this go? I think that we could see silver, maybe if this turns into a significant retracement, we could see it get as low as maybe $26 or so. I think that's really the main support that we could encounter. You can see that 26 is a pretty key level, actually a little above 26. That's the price level that silver tested many times before it broke out just recently here in April. So that's sort of the bottom, I think, for how deep this correction could get. Now, considering the fundamentals here, I mean, it's crazy if we fall that low. It seems like, gold and silver are still in the midst of a major uptrend here, and this is a bit of a counter trend reaction. And of course, look, silver is a volatile market. It's a small market. And I was mentioning that it's pretty much the same story in gold this evening. Gold down to 2370. So look, if you'd been thinking of getting some physical, I mean, now would probably be a good time. Although we'll have to wait and see how deep this goes in trading tomorrow if this sell-off continues. But we know that it's an overnight smackdown, so it reeks of manipulation. And to me, paper instruments being used to manipulate the price of a physical asset to opportunity to get your hands on that physical asset. Now, the crazy thing is this was on really no news. There's no news that triggered this as far as I can tell. I mean, I've scoured the interwebs, social media, Reddit. I'm expecting to see, they discovered an asteroid full of gold or silver or something. No, there's nothing, no economic data. The Fed didn't come out with some super hawkish statement. It's just middle of the night, no news. And the closest thing I was able to find is this story on FX Street which mentions, and this is published a little less than an hour ago, and it mentions that gold has slid to 2370 during the Asian session, but it mentions here the downfall lacking any fundamental catalyst, right? So no news, just rigging, as I see some folks mentioning in the chat here, but it's like, it couldn't be more obvious, right, at this point. And again, if there's manipulation ongoing, I know many of you are convinced that like that's the only thing driving it. And when you see things like this, it's hard to disagree with that point of view. But to the extent that the price is being suppressed, ultimately that will fail. Market prices and market forces always have to win out, because you'll get shortages, and it makes sense. We've seen a huge deficit develop in the silver market over the past 4 years or so. Last year to the tune of 184 million ounces. This year, supposed to be even worse than that, according to the most recent estimates from the Silver Institute. So, look, maybe there is long-term manipulation, but again, I'm happy to play the other side of that game. I take the long view on these things. Silver at a discount is never a bad thing. I know a lot of people who watch this channel have been hoping for a dip, for an opportunity to get some physical metal, and it looks like you're going to get it. But that being said, the fundamentals still seem very supportive of higher gold and silver prices. This is the CME FedWatch tool. As of right now, the rates at a September meeting not only have gone back up to a 100% chance being priced in by the market that the Fed will be cutting in September. Now there's even a small 0.3% chance being factored in that we might get 2 rate cuts by actually, I'm sorry, no. This would be 3 rate cuts, right? Because this is the current level is 525 to 550. Everybody's anticipating 500 to 525 following that meeting. That would be 1/4 basis, 125 basis point rate cut, a 1/4 percentage point. 10% are anticipating that we'll have 2 rate cuts by then, or 0.5% rate cut. And then, again, there's this small percentage now that's developing that thinks we're going to be at a federal funds rate of 450 to 475. So the odds of the rate cut actually have gone up. And yet, nonetheless, you're seeing this huge sell-off. So, I mean, once the Fed actually gets in there and starts cutting rates, one would anticipate that will be supportive. There's also the possibility, that you get the buy the rumor, sell the fact kind of thing. So once the Fed actually cuts rates, there's going to be perhaps a sell-off in gold and silver. But the fact that we're getting a silver and gold sell-off right now, way before the FOMC, because we'll be getting July's FOMC at the end of next week, and then September's FOMC still a ways off. I think that the fact that we're getting this kind of price action today is contraindicative of the buy the rumor, sell the fact kind of scenario. One thing we do need to look out for later this week, now just a couple days away, is the PCE data, which is going to be released on Friday morning at 8:30 a.m. Now that's going to be a potential significant driver of the gold and silver market one way or the other. If we get a hotter than expected core PCE index, and this is the Fed's preferred measure of inflation, then that could perhaps put a damper on rate cut hopes, and one would expect that to actually be negative for the metals. But if we get a softer than expected inflation print, well, that could be very supportive of metals prices. So that might mean that we're putting in a bottom right now if that scenario plays out. Certainly, if we get a nice, soft, cool inflation print, meaning inflation is lower than anticipated on Friday, there's a real possibility that we could get a rate cut at the July meeting, July 31st. Right now, market's only factoring in a 6.7% chance. We'll see how that goes following the release of that PCE data. Another factor that could be potentially playing into the drop today, even though there's no fundamental drivers of this sell-off, is what happened in the stock market today. So this is the 5-day chart. It's the easiest way to represent the data here on Yahoo Finance, but you can see that beginning this morning we had a pretty sharp sell-off in the S&P 500. It was actually the worst day of trading for the S&P 500 since December of 2022. Stocks have arguably gotten kind of overheated at current levels. They've been taken out just record high after record high after record high. Maybe we're due for a corrective sell-off in those markets, and that might also translate into some weakness for the precious metals as investors are forced to perhaps liquidate their metals to cover margin on other paper assets that are declining. I mean, all of these things are possible, but again, unfortunately, the simplest explanation when I look at this, I try to apply Occam's razor and not get too tinfoil hatty, but in the middle of the night, no news. The Fed is supposed to be cutting soon. That's the anticipation, a growing anticipation among the market. And then in a huge volume candle, you see both gold and silver just getting absolutely taken down in a 1 hour period late at night. Look, let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you're watching this live, you can put it in the chat. But if you're watching this later, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think is driving this. Was there some news I missed? Maybe in the morning something will come to light and this move will become more clear. But as for me, I am thinking that this one is going to remain a mystery, and that in fact JP Morgan, their trading desk, must be quite busy this evening. So that's all for this one, folks. I know it's a late one. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. Do me a favor, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet, and I will catch you next time. Going to be interesting to follow this one up tomorrow and see how this plays out. Anyway, stay safe and happy stacking, everybody. Smart Silver Stacker out.